Meanwhile, Duke NUS Medical School in Singapore and US-based Arcturus Therapeutics are now conducting preclinical studies on a vaccine candidate they have developed. If the vaccine is seen to be safe in animals and if studies suggest that it will be safe in humans, it will be tested next on healthy adults. The Deputy Director of the Emerging Infectious Diseases Program at the school said they hope to start clinical trials as soon as August. A man who breached a stay-home notice to go out and run errands and eat bak kut teh pleaded guilty to exposing others to the risk of infection, this in the first case of its kind. The prosecution urged the court to sentence Alan Tham Siang Sheng to at least 10 to 12 weeks jail to reflect the seriousness of the offence and deter others from committing a similar act. Meanwhile, the Environment and Water Resources Ministry warned the public to be wary of those who impersonate enforcement officers. These officers are tasked with ensuring public compliance with elevated safe distancing measures. The ministry said enforcement officers and safe distancing ambassadors can be identified through red passes that they will carry with them starting today. Officers may also wear a red armband on top of existing identifiers, including their agency's corporate attire, staff pass and lanyard, or the SG Clean Ambassador Pass. So on the subject of these safe distancing enforcement officers, in a Facebook post yesterday, Environment and Water Resources Minister Mazakos Zulkifli expressed dismay that criminal force was used against a number of officers on the front line. He called such behaviour unacceptable. Joining us to discuss this is journalist Timothy Goh. Now, Tim, it's been more than a week since enforcement officers have been deployed. There might be still some confusion as to what these officers are authorized to do. So can you clarify?
Sure. So aside from educating people on the enhanced measures, these officers can also take down the particulars of people and issue composition fines to those who are not complying with the measures. This means that they will either give you hard copy notices of the fine or they might mail them to you. What's important to note, however, is that these officers are not allowed to ask you to pay the fine on the spot. So if anyone asks you for your bank account details or for any money, claiming to be an officer, don't give it to them. There have been reports of people trying to impersonate such officers.
Of course. So how have people generally responded when they've been approached by these officers and ambassadors? We've heard accounts of people reacting violently even, but why?
Yes, so I think it's sad to hear that. I must first highlight that these are, again, a minority of cases. Generally, from what I've heard, people have been cooperative when approached by these officers. But of course, one case is still one case too many. And as you mentioned, one person slapped an officer when he was told to comply with safe distancing measures. Another punched an officer when he was told to wear his mask properly. And the police will be investigating this. As for why, well, it's a very stressful period for a lot of people. The circuit breaker, there have been a lot of changes. I think this highlights the importance of self-care and mental health during this period. Of course, there's still no excuse for abusing anyone, especially these officers during this period of time. But if you ask me why, I'd say it's probably the stress of the whole situation.
Right, of course. So on our part, what can the public do to help if they want to flag cases of physical violence?
Well, first of all, as with any case of physical violence, you're advised to call the police at 999. But in the first place, please don't abuse officers, whether verbally or physically. These are just volunteers. Some of them are just volunteers who are just doing their job. So let's focus on fighting the coronavirus and not each other during this period of time.
Fantastic words to end off. So Timothy, thank you so much. Stay safe as well. That was our colleague at the Straits Times, journalist Timothy Goh.